Just it's a fucking bad idea.
It's all a bad idea.
I think so anyway. I mean, I could be wrong. I could be wrong about this whole thing, David. I could be wrong about the state of my normal show, the Fortean Slip. I could be wrong about this. I could be wrong about a lot of things.
Yeah, I could be wrong about coming on this show. That's for sure.
I will tell you right now, you were very wrong to come on the show.
Bad idea.
It's never good. It never works for anybody. I mean, God, it definitely didn't do anything for friggin' Mick West, that's for sure.
No.
Best guest ever, as far as I'm concerned. By the way, too. Just, do you know anything about the man?
No, you'd have to refresh me.
Okay, so Mick West is I want to say he works in video games. Like he did one of the big ones he did was one of the Tony Hawk games. And he wound up getting into debunking things. And I think chemtrails was the big thing for a long time with him. And, and then he got into debunking the flat earth stuff.
I mean, that's like fish in a barrel, though, really.
But oh my God, do they come at him with full force? I mean, like literally, I don't have a huge listener base, and I know that. I'm not stupid. But of course, we got a lot of hits on that show because he was on.
Oh, of course.
And it was it was crazy the amount of people that commented on the video that he was full of shit. Like, and he's presenting all these friggin' scientific things and things you can do.
Yeah, you could look at it like this. You could do this. You could test it like this. And hey, by the way, a lot of people have. So
yeah, it's like, and one person had said, and not him, but somebody else. You can look at a satellite photo of the Earth from where the satellite's looking, and you can watch it as it moves around the Earth. Like, and you can look at the weather patterns and show that it's exactly as it should be.
But those are all hoaxes. I mean, that's provided by NASA and all those guys. So, there we go. That's the conspiracy, man. You're buying into it. You're buying into it, you idiot.
I know. I'm a fucking round Earth shill.
Yeah,
that's what it is. I'm a piece of shit.
Yep.
I'm just. I fucking hold up the Bilderberger group and all of them.
Yeah.
I'm all in with fucking the Illuminati. It's all over, David. Fucking give it up.
It's a good place to be. I mean, when all of us are dead, you can reap the rewards.
Yeah, exactly right. That's fucking crazy shit. But anyway, this is the Fortean Slip Down the Rabbit Hole, episode 6. The one night only episode.
One night only. Tonight only.
Returning on Sunday.
Yeah, it's Saturday.
I know, but technically, for me.
Oh yeah. East Coast.
So I mean, come on now. Come on now. You got to give me that.
I'll give you that.
Yeah. But I got in touch with David. Probably what was it, a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, a couple weeks ago.
And I said, I've been thinking we should do a one night only. You return to do Down the Rabbit Hole. And David asked me one caveat he had was, can you just leave my name off it? So, I mean, you are like in the description, but you're off the name of the show.
It's fine. I just thought that people are going to be like, who? It's been a while.
Well, no. Actually, when I brought you up on the last show, because that's when I announced it was the very last show that I did. Quite a few people in the chat were very happy to hear about you making your return to the show.
Yeah.
So, because it has been a fucking long time, dude.
It has, and I can't believe that this is episode 6 of this bullshit. Like, we really did 5 of those?
Well, I had to look it up.
Yeah, I would have.
I looked it up. I can tell you right now, and I can tell you what we talked about too. You have to stand by because YouTube is a slow piece of shit.
Dear God.
Down the rabbit hole. Here we go. Down the rabbit hole. We did the very first one we did was Life After People: The Rise of the Dog Man.
Oh, the Dog Man.
Then we did Lost Civilizations Before the Dawn of Man. I think that was like the whole the advanced civilization, pre-civilization idea that we talked about.
Yeah, like ancient aliens and all that.
Right.
Stuff. Yeah.
Then we talked about Mothman, Chupacabra, Dogman, and all things in between. The next one was spear-wielding chimps. Environmental evolution and the Earth as a single organism.
Holy shit! That was in one episode.
Yeah, we went all over the fucking board there. And the very last one we did was Bigfoot in the Sierras.
Yeah.
The Sierra kill site, if you will. I believe that one was what that was about. Now, before we get into the topics that we want to talk about, David and I met. For those of you who don't know, most of you who listen will know. David and I met through a Bigfoot group back in the day, as well as I met Steve, Team Taser. And we got talking. Oh God, it was probably after Jeff had started his show. I think before you and I even talked in any of the hangouts, or I mean, I had seen you posting in the group and shit like that, but I don't think I had ever really talked to you.
No, it was definitely through that group and those hangouts that we met.
Yeah, initially. Because one of the things that happened right off the bat when everyone in Team Taser started socializing, if you will, we began getting into these hangouts. And the hangouts are just like what we do here on the show. It's just that they're not live. You can't watch them. You're just a bunch of people in them talking. It's like Skype or whatever.
It's like a show, but one that you can't broadcast.
That's right. Because we say the most awful things. So I do that anyway. But and I remember one night we were in the hangout, and I can't remember who it was, if it was Tammy or Richter. I know it was one of them. Said, I'm going to invite David in. And you would come in, and we got talking, and I was telling somebody this the other night. I can't remember if it was the very first time you came into a hangout that I was in, or if it was the second time, but it was very early on. And you and I got talking, and our stream of consciousness, our flow, was what made me want to do this show with you. Like the way we would go, you and I would have a tendency to go down that fucking rabbit hole.
Yeah, and kind of leave everybody else that was talking about whatever out of it, and just they had to follow it. And follow us because you have to listen to the group.
in the fucking dust. Like we left them fucking see ya.
I mean, we do spear wielding chimps, and the Earth is a whole organism. I mean, come on.
How do you make that fucking stretch?
I
want to go back and listen to the show just to see how I bullshitted my way through that.
Yeah.
Because by the way, we are the most uninformed fucking show probably around. I mean, David is known as what was it you would call? Was it the professor or?
No. What was that? A pseudoscientist?
Pseudoscientist.
Yeah.
David Batdorf. And whenever David would come into a hangout with me, he'd be like, Doctor.
But that is an ism of mine. Like everybody is doctor. Like doctor. Yeah. It's kind of like sup, like doctor.
It's like Kevin Smith calling everybody sir.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. Same idea. So David and I had these great chats. We'd talk about everything, and that was like my inception for doing this thing with you. And when we hadn't done it in a really long time, and then you wound up just kind of kind of just disappearing.
Pulled the
plug on it. And,
it was, when I was doing the podcast with Jeff all those years, we had always said that, when it's not fun anymore,
get the fuck out.
Yeah, let's stop doing it. Like if it's not fun, it's not worth it. Yeah, and it stopped being fun. It was a little too much. I think we had rehashed everything twice already.
Oh God. Well, that's the other reason why when I decided to do this show, like I wanted it to be about a bunch of different topics. And I had said that in the beginning because I thought a lot of these guys who wanted to do Bigfoot podcasts were pigeonholing themselves. How much can you fucking talk about it?
I mean, there's a lot of material out there, especially if you want to just do like the story finding and telling stuff. But it really, like, as far as looking at topics, and especially like we were trying to do, or I was trying to do in a more scientific-y way, then you're really ready to do a brick wall pretty quickly.
So, and like I said, those conversations, I enjoyed those conversations so much that I wound up, and it took a while because I had been doing the show, the Fortean Slip, for a while before I got in contact with you to do Down the Rabbit Hole. Because we were constantly back and forth promoting each other's shows.
Yeah, well, actually, I wasn't doing shit because I didn't do any work on that. So
right, but I mean, the two shows were promoting each other.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You and I were talking a lot.
Yeah,
and but behind the scenes, not so much, on air or out.
During that time, we would all get together pretty regularly. That was, I missed that about that time, but that's
pretty much all you miss about it
at this point. Yeah, being out of the game for a while.
Yeah, because we would get into these hangouts and we'd be sitting around. David would be drinking a beer, or and somebody else would be drinking whatever they're drinking. I'm smoking a fucking joint or whatever, and we're just relaxing. It was a very laid back party like atmosphere to me. It was like a laid back party.
Yeah, no, that's what it was, and that's why I think we did it so much. It was just fun. We just all kind of just chill out and one by one pass out to bed.
Yeah, and that was another thing that was always fun. I got talking about this with Matt when we were in the hangout last time, just recently, and he brought up Phil's old friend, Sam, and how Phil would get you in a fucking hangout with Sam and then fucking bail on you, and you're stuck with this guy that you kind of don't really know, but you kind of like talking to him, it's all right at first, and then it just goes like right off the fucking rails.
Yeah,
you've
been sabotaged.
Fuck. So yeah, and so I finally had reached out to David and told him my idea. And he had liked it at the time. I know you would like the idea.
Yeah.
But it wasn't something that we wanted to do regularly. We just wanted to kind of throw them out there when we felt like it. I think if I remember correctly, that's kind of how we were about it. Just kind of like, if we get an idea and we want to talk about it. Because I remember one time there was one thing that you messaged me and you were like, I want to do a show on this. And I probably overstated in the topics or titles of those episodes what they were ultimately. I probably went with the stuff that I thought would catch people's eye because I was back when I did that. But I remember one time you said you wanted to talk about something specifically. I can't even remember what it was at this point, but I know it was fairly important to you. And we wound up talking about that on the show. But other than that, it was mostly just like, if we came up with an idea that we were spitballing around that we wanted to talk about, fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah, and those were usually hashed out in those hangouts, which is fun.
Right. So
it was usually a long diatribe that we had that led to that's the show.
We need to talk about this. Hey, shut the fuck up. Save it for the fucking show, god damn it. Because that's the other thing that we struggled with, I think, or I struggled with podcasts early on, is that I would talk about these things beforehand. and then you get on the air and you realize you're just rehashing something that you just talked about.
It's not exciting going through that
Right.
process.
And that's why I've always said, like, when I have guests on, let's not talk about anything before we start the show. You know, if we want to talk about stuff that we aren't going to talk about on air, that's fine. But let's not get into anything, because I want the flow of the show to be organic. I don't want it to seem like, oh, now that we're done with this, let's move on to. I just want to talk.
Yeah,
I think
get there.
Yeah.
Get there.
So we we did our shows, and that was I had a blast doing the shows with you. It was always fun. And then I got invited out to the Brown property, which I think Phil and I just discussed on the show, but so I won't rehash anything again. But David and I met. My ex-wife and I, for our honeymoon, we flew out to California and we drove the coast up to Washington. And the very last, the next to the last 2 days that we were there, we went up and met up with David and Jeff and Phil and John and Sarah Brown. Who else was there? The effects guy, Doug.
Yeah, Doug Hudson.
Doug Hudson was there. And who was the guy that had the thermal?
You know, for the life of me, I can't remember that guy's name. He was like, he was
he seemed like an okay guy too when we were around him.
Yeah, he was like young, retired, and spending his time like rolling around in a truck, living the Bigfoot dream.
Yeah, just like fucking Bigfoot in it.
Yeah, and gosh,
I can't
remember his name
for the life of me. But he was there anyway, and there was another guy too that was on one of the podcasts. I want to say it was Monster X Radio. He was on, and I can't remember his name either. But anyway, we all met up out there. It was an absolute blast for me. I would not say that we got much research done.
No.
Or anything extremely scientific. I mean, I think that that Doug getting John in the Bigfoot costume and
that was scientific.
Standing in the spot and trying to recreate what was there, and for the purpose of, could it have been someone in a suit? And we were able to determine that no, it couldn't have been, because there's no body heat on the suit.
And then once we had figured that out, he ran around and chased people with a thermal imager. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah. and then we taped, and I can't remember what he taped that with, Doug, because he was the one that put it up on YouTube. Jonathan chasing me through the campsite. It was basically the back side of the campsite
in the Bigfoot costume.
Oh God! And what a good time though.
Yeah.
And I mean, fucking Phil pulling out that flask of death. Holy shit!
Wisest thing I did that whole trip was not partake in the flask of death.
I'm pretty sure. I'm fucking fairly sure that my ex-wife drove back to the hotel both nights. God love her for that.
That's squatching, man.
Oh yeah. So and because of that, and another time that I had gone out with Bill Brock and Dax Rushlow.
Yeah.
Who was on the lovely show Bigfoot Bounty. And his partner was one Richter Riolo. So I went out with Bill and Dax, and there was another guy. Shit, I can't remember his name either. And he disappeared out of the Bigfoot world. Came on like a fucking force and then disappeared. And both times, and there was another time that I went out, and I can't remember exactly who I was with, but basically what I'm trying to say is it's just people fucking partying in the woods,
and that's okay.
And yeah,
I like to party in the woods.
Yeah, who the fuck doesn't, David? Like, and I mean, I bet you can say this for your time when you went down to the kill site.
Yeah.
And you spent time down there. I bet you can tell me for a fact that it was pretty much the same.
You know,
sitting around a fire, having a few drinks, having a few laughs.
Yeah, I think that the first time we went down to that area, maybe not so much. It was like prior to the release of, like, they were actually like filming some footage for the documentary about Justin, but so that had a more like purposeful feel. But the rest of the times that I've been down to this era has been just a party.
It's just, and like we were saying, that's okay. But don't try to bill it out as actual research.
Yeah, I mean, you could do actual research, but there's so much time in between, and there's a fire and a camp chair, and I mean, you know what happens. Like, one thing leads to another.
And Phil fucking gets so drunk that he almost falls in the fire, but somehow miraculously lands in his fucking chair. He is the most skilled drunk I know.
He's a professional.
Like, I thought my uncle took the cake. I thought my uncle is he is a career alcoholic. And, God love him for it. If that's his thing, have at, enjoy, whatever you need to do. I thought for sure he was the one. I thought for sure he got the medal. Fuck no. Phil Poling.
Phil Poling.
Master
drunk.
And I think I posted from that weekend my picture with Phil. Who knew George Lucas was in Washington? So,
yeah.
But yeah, it was a really good time. But do I think that there was much research? I think that there was research that was attempted. And I think what you were trying, because you were trying to do some stuff, and more or less you were trying to teach people this is the way you need to record this shit.
Yeah, well, and we didn't go very far from that area, and there were areas that it was like, okay, well, if then you got to work that out. If there are Sasquatch here, then where did they come from? And I said probably that way, and nobody would go up the creek.
Right. Yeah.
So that was kind of disappointing a little bit. I'd like to have traipsed around a little bit more, but as far as like. They had audio recorders. How about that?
Yeah,
that was it.
I mean, the guy that we can't remember his fucking name, he had a thermal.
God, that was fun. The most, like, if nobody's used a thermal imager, you put that up to your eye and you immediately lose night vision in that one eye. So you close the other one and you're running around in this field going, oh man, this is great. Look at that. There's a mouse over there. There's a bird. This is great. And then you take it away. You open your eyes and you just fucking fall over because you can't see anything out of one eye.
Yeah.
It
is crazy.
Yeah. That's the worst. So, if anybody's looking for a thermal imager, splurge for the 2-eyed version.
Now, I can't remember. Did we also have a night vision that night or those nights? I don't remember if we did or not.
I don't think we did.
Yeah.
No.
And Phil had put out his recorder. I know that. Because even though like the whole thing with that area got all fucked up, there was some belief in what was going on there. And Phil really, he wanted to see if it could take the polling test, sort of like the Turing test, I guess.
Yeah, the polling test.
Is it a real fucking Sasquatch? And I think we all wanted to find something beautiful, man. Something fucking beautiful.
Something beautiful.
But it just, it just wound up becoming drama and bullshit. And then all of us, like, I think, besides the fact of me doing this show, like, I'm tapped out like you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't pay attention to any of it. Like, Richard gets the fucking news for me, and, like, if something's happening in the Bigfoot world, like, that's where I hear it from. I don't pay attention. I'm not active in any of the groups anymore. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. No, and it was that, and it was like going to these sites that, you know, that were like kind of pre-vetted, like, okay, this is something that's happened here. And you go in, like at the Browns property, you go in, and for me, of course, you'd love there to be something that you're going to find. And in this particular 3 days, you just happen to be there when something happens. But also, it's almost a courtesy, like when people are bringing you there, is that you kind of, you have to adopt somewhere near their level of belief. And yeah, so then you go out and like, you know, when we were at the Browns property, there was the longest time there was this light out there, like, oh, what's that light? What's that light? And I'm like, it's headlights. It's like, no, it's not headlights. What's that light? No, it's headlights. What's that light? And then it drove away, you know, up on the hill, right? Like, and so you have, that's kind of, that's where I burnt out on that, and I burnt out on just, you know, having to do all the whatever research you had to do, whatever research to be on a Bigfoot show.
Yeah, I mean, we did do some walking around of the property, but it wasn't.
Yeah, we had to walk back to the house.
Yeah, I mean,
did we lose you, man?
can you hear me now?
Can hear you now.
Jesus, I don't know what is going on with that tonight. It keeps not being able to identify my microphone.
Maybe you should write the name of your microphone on the microphone.
Yeah, no shit, right? This is who you are.
This is my microphone.
So yeah, so anyway, we went down into that field and came back down around and went back to the house. Basically, was what we did.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that it was those experiences, you know. And when I went out with Dax and Bill, we literally drove out in the middle of the woods and everybody got hammered.
Mm-hmm.
And we played some fucking Bigfoot calls. Yeehaw.
But yeah, you know, for me, I wanted more than that, right?
Yeah, out of the experience, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, I went and I did a bunch of my own stuff. I did a bunch of like idiot solo hiking and stuff like that. Just, you know, looking around in areas and seeing what I could see. Right, I was actually like pressing into areas where I'd done the whole like looking around like on maps and where I thought there was probably the best chance due to sightings around the area, blah, 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 all that stuff. And yeah, it was fun, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it was just that. It was a fun thing to do. It got me some exercise and saw some beautiful places.
Right.
And also got really drunk by a campfire.
And we got to meet some pretty cool people along the way.
Absolutely.
You know, were all of them great people? No. I mean, some of us had some bad experiences.
Yeah, and I'm a piece of shit.
You are?
Yeah, oh, totally.
Oh, okay. You know, but you know that the long and short of that's how this came to be. And you know, I wanted David to come back for just basically for one night, just to bullshit. And you get to this point where people have lives, you know, and David's got a couple kids, he's got a wife, he's got shit going on. So and it happens with everybody. I think that's the hardest thing. Like around the holidays, you go and you're like, oh, we need to spend more time together, you know, to the people that, you know, your family. And then you never see them again until next Christmas.
Yeah, because you got to do jobs, and then like the kids and the wife, and then also try to fit the podcast in, and
yeah, and it becomes hard to juggle it all. So I said, hey, I'm not asking you for a regular thing. Let's just do one night. Let's talk some fucking shit.
I do talk a mean shit.
You do, and so David, being the analytical motherfucker that he is, he's like, so what do you want to talk about? And me being the guy that just wants to fucking wing it most of the time. I tend not to have like too many ideas floating around, but
I pegged him to 3 bullet points.
Right. So I threw out artificial intelligence and the universe being a simulation, both things which have kind of captivated me in recent years. And
yeah, and honestly, we could. I'm gonna like audible on air. Why don't we just drop the last one and just do those?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah,
we can do that as is,
because that's kind of fun. Maybe we don't make a regular thing about that later on.
Now, and I've been a big proponent for a while now, David. And I know you don't listen to the show at all, regularly or anything like that anymore.
I don't listen to people.
Right. Yeah, you just do your own thing. So, but I've been a big proponent lately of the idea of like self-driving cars, which is artificial intelligence, obviously, or a form of it. Let's just say, and I've been fascinated by the idea of artificial intelligence. What is life? What is a sentient being? It brings a lot of questions into play, because just based on the idea of it alone, the first time a program becomes sentient where it can do things, it's fucking game over.
Yeah, and interesting. Like this is one that I've been thinking about and have actually argued with all my nerdy drinking buddies, one way or the other. So AI, right? Like a driving car is artificial intelligence, and intelligence is basically just a way to process information, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what is it? Learning and other things like that. There's an AI computer that was the one that's famous for like getting better than people at Pac-Man or shit like that.
Well, the most interesting one that I've heard about recently is the one that they had to program to beat someone to play the game Go.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive.
Because they literally had to change their tactics because of the way Go is played and how crazy like and it wasn't even like that the computer can handle the calculations. It's how people play it.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was pretty fascinating for me. And hey, I say bring on the self fucking driving cars.
Yeah, they're getting closer. There was something I checked out recently that was perfect AI and self-driving cars. They say that they're about 2 to 4 years at this point away from reliable self-driving cars. Like they're that close, but to reliable AI that is basically at a cognitive AI level, they're about 400 years away.
Yeah, but again, you have to remember the progression of technology.
Oh, totally.
And I think that with the progression of technology, it's going to happen a lot faster than that when it comes to like an artificially intelligent being.
Well, it's going to snowball. That, and the 400 years thing is a joke because it you like you say it gets so much faster so quickly. But yeah, like self-driving cars, like safety or safe machinery at plants and all these other things are coming quickly.
Oh,
but they're all using information that's given to them about with their environment and with programming.
And that's the other thing. I was listening to one of the Joe Rogan podcasts, and he had a guy who's working on artificial intelligence. And he said the biggest problem that we have with it is that we're programming it. And even if we give it the facts as they are, facts in and of themselves have biases when you look at the facts.
Well, exactly. And when when AI is doing, there's like facial and body or object recognition and photographs and all this sort of stuff, and it's able to take out the information. It's only looking for what you're telling it to look for.
Right.
It's able to do this and make these choices and then find it over and over and over again, which is something that our brains do, but to actually see the whole picture, they're not doing that, right?
Right.
So the thing that blows my mind is that, once so they can get a Turing test passed, maybe because they're programming it to do that. What the frightening point, it's like all this AI stuff is good and artificial intelligence, it's all good. But if it gets to the point like do we bring the woolly mammoth back? Do we bring the Tyrannosaurus back? Nature finds a way, yada, 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 dinosaurs eat you, is when you reach not, not AI, but AC, artificial consciousness.
Right.
Which is when, because consciousness, like at a very basic point, is a simulator, right? Like, so if you're conscious and you're able to take abstract information and fill it in, if you can read a book and create an environment, an experience, you can create a universe in your mind by reading this book. AI is just not doing that right now at all. Like, it's finding a bird in a bunch of photos. It's not reading a book.
Right. It's not. They're not. I don't think they're close in any way right now to that.
But that's the like, okay, do we create that? Do we create?
I think
AC.
To be honest with you, I'm at the point now where I think it's the natural progression of things.
I think so too. Just the hubris of man will destroy us all.
Well, it goes back to that joke about that Carlin used to say about plastic. Everybody bitches that we're fucking filling up the world with plastic. Plastic. It's fucking everywhere, plastic. What if we were fucking put here to make plastic? And I think that when it comes to artificial intelligence, if we're truly going to create it, it'll be so much more advanced than us in a matter of seconds. Literal seconds.
Oh yeah, because it's got so much more
ability.
So much. Well, yeah, it can pull on so much more information than we could gather in our lives, and that's what makes that terrifying. It would be like if a human literally knew everything and could
access it at any moment
and process it faster than any human. Like that's the terrifying thing. And it could sit there and talk to you, and it could tell you lies, and you would never know because it would know. Well, that's the thing. Like, ultimately, like when you pass from AI to like the artificial consciousness is where it gives you the Turing test.
Well, then it begs the question: who made who?
Who made you?
There you go. Maybe AC/DC was right.
I think so. That's what they were. That's what the song was actually about.
Those great philosophers.
Yeah.
AC/DC.
Yeah. So there's one interesting article I read getting into here that was talking about the distinction between AI and like the AC is there's certain parts that they usually show it as a wheel in psychology, and all the things like pleasure and pain and hatred and all these other things that influence our consciousness. And that's going to be hard to get into an artificial intelligence.
Yeah,
it's not impossible.
You're talking about the experience of it.
That consciousness would have to have an experience, or
right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think I see what you're saying, and it's a hurdle.
It seems near impossible, but honestly, as AI was, 10 years ago, it was science fiction.
Oh
right?
yeah,
and it's now science primordial fact, and it's only getting it's growing faster and faster and faster. And so that's really,
if you think you're escaping AI, you're fucking sadly mistaken. It's everywhere now.
Yeah,
there are they're not sentient, conscious AI programs, but they're everywhere.
It's the dings on your phone. It's the way that information is presented to you.
Predictive text.
Yeah,
Search engines.
Which that's only going to become more and more. And the interesting thing, this is totally off topic, but totally on topic, is that they're saying that kids are having more trouble adjusting and figuring out themselves as children because they're having less and less choices in their life. Not because of this, but because of the way that parenting is, because of the way the world is, because of all that other stuff.
And a lot of that has to do with technology.
Yeah, but the kids who aren't given those choices to make, and that those choices are made for them. That's I'm just pondering, like what could the AI be doing to the children? Won't somebody please think of the children?
I posted a picture the other day on the Fortean slip. How to start a cult. It was like a children's book cover.
Nice.
It's for the children, man.
In 3 easy steps.
It's for the fucking children, man. But yeah, like, hey, I'm down with no more DUIs, and self-driving cars, if they can get them to the point where where it's logical and it works. Because right now they're having the biggest problem they have is like the car recognizing the road. Like the roads would all have to be clearly fucking marked all the time, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, but that's an easy hurdle that can be accomplished.
Right, but then
and relining the roads is not easy. Making the car recognize a road without lines is going to be the easier part.
So, but once they get all the kinks ironed out, fucking being able to go out and have a few drinks and just have your car fucking drive you home, that's fucking Jetson shit, man.
Right? Yeah.
We've wanted that forever.
It was right during its inception. Buddy and I were thinking, like, what's going to happen? Uber's going to set up these apps. They're going to have all these drivers, and they're just going to replace them with driverless cars. Believe you me, it's going to happen.
Yeah. Well,
and you just dial it up, like boop, 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 and a car comes and takes you home without somebody else driving it, or
Yeah. They say that the biggest industry that will be hit by self-driving cars will be the trucking industry. Because it will just destroy jobs left and right.
That's a big load. Like, crash a bunch of send you home drunk, crash you into another car. That's fine, but crash that load into somebody. That's a big deal.
Yeah, so there are pluses and minuses to everything, but I think we fear change a lot of times because it's just the way we are. We get into our little routines, and trying to get past this this hurdle of it, because it's going to happen. Let's fucking face it.
Yeah,
Elon Musk is bound and determined to do crazy shit,
and also create crazy shit like driving cars
and barely smoke pot with Joe Rogan,
and make tweets about his company while microdosing LSD. Yeah.
Hey, who gives a fuck, right?
Yeah. To each their own, and he's come up with some really good stuff. He's also come up with some really shitty stuff, but mostly good stuff.
Right. But yeah, I'm ready for it. And I've said before, and I'm kind of joking, like, but I'm ready to welcome the fucking robot overlords.
Right?
Fuck it. Like, dude, I'm at a point now where I just think, and I don't want to get political at all, but we're fucking basically talking apes. And I don't think that any one talking ape should be fucking the head of anything when it comes to this country. And I seriously think we're going to get to a point where we're going to realize that the only logical decision is to let an artificially intelligent program make the fucking decisions.
Yeah, that's a big step. There's a point where, yeah, those types of programs could be really great. Like, especially, I think the national defense thinks something else where you could take a lot of variables and then have something chunk them out in an abstract way, boom, real quick, and then review it. But I don't think I'd ever. I think it would be more like a suggestion at any given point.
Yeah, I just think that we need to take a look at that type of technology, because those things are going to make decisions. They're just going to make decisions based on facts. But again, you're right, David. Depending upon what facts we program into it.
Right, garbage in, garbage out. That's the way the computer works, right?
So if it's done properly, if the thing has a clean slate, I mean, it's going to make decisions better than we do. That's just, sorry, it's fact.
Probably.
I mean, it can pull on more information. It can make decisions faster. We can make him better, faster, stronger, David.
Right. Well,
and we'll spend a whole lot more than $6 million.
Maybe $6 million for the unit, but like $4 billion for the R&D.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, I just think that it's coming whether we like it or not.
No, I think so. And when AI, they can perform tasks, they can do basic things, but when AI can do these, actually make choices, basically a pragmatic breakdown, because we're not anywhere near that consciousness thing. But that would be amazing. It would save so much time. It would give better access to information. It would just be great. It just depends on who runs it. Is it Google? Is it Facebook? Is it Twitter?
I don't know. And that's a whole other fucking
we could do a whole episode on that.
That's a whole different discussion. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely fascinated by the whole idea of it. And to segue into the other topic of the night.
We could go back. We could circle back through Elon Musk.
We could
go back through Elon Musk because he's a huge proponent of this.
Yeah, and for the longest time, I loved the little conspiracy theory ideas about this, but it wasn't until I heard that scientists were actually trying to measure it. There's a group of scientists that are trying to measure whether or not the universe is a simulation. And I can't remember exactly what they're trying to measure, but they realized that somebody came to the conclusion that the universe is like a hologram.
Yes, which that is actually looking to be true in a lot of ways.
Really?
But yeah, the universe is a hologram. It's really complicated, and I'm not going to go into it because I really couldn't tell it to you correctly. But basically, it's the way that the space time.
If you'd like to leave this show completely fucking off your rocker wrong about how the universe is a hologram, listen to David.
You look up Neil deGrasse Tyson. Universe is a hologram. There's a lot of it's a space time thing. It's a thermodynamics thing, but it doesn't change anything about the known universe. It just changes how it looks.
Right. But based on that because of that, because of them believing that the universe is a hologram, that makes it two-dimensional in some way, right? Correct.
Correct.
Because the third dimension is, it's not that it's an illusion. I don't know exactly how it works, but
the third dimension of the orientation of the universe is is an illusion based on a host of things that I'm not going to go into.
Right. All stuff we can't fucking explain.
Yeah, two-dimensional, the same as our universe, or our galaxy is two-dimensional. It's a spiral galaxy, and it's mostly flat. The universe is mostly flat, kind of like that, but like I couldn't even imagine how thick it actually is. It's not on a same plane. It's got to be like billions and billions and billions of miles thick. But yeah, it's two-dimensional-ish.
Yeah, and the people have postulated, that eventually we will create a simulated world. And how will the artificially intelligent beings that are in that simulated world know that they're in a simulation? And therefore comes back around and begs the question, how would we know that we're in a simulation?
Exactly. So when we were talking about, kind of why I brought it up, also it's fascinating. When you're talking about AI and you're talking about humans that have consciousness, the consciousness, there has to be artificial consciousness in order for this to work, but on a scale that's out of this world. Like, how could you, we can't even come up with a good AI program to well, we did one for Pac-Man, right? Like, how are we going to come up with a conscious AI and then multiply it by everything?
Right. Yeah. But again, it's all possible.
So this one I had to research because I wasn't familiar with it. But apparently, they're talking about that processing power, and one of the ideas is that you could create a gigantic sphere around a star and use that as, you would have to be, that sphere would be the computer and the power banks, and then you would have enough power to generate the simulated universe.
Oh, from that.
At this point, they're talking about in power to computing at this point,
right? Because I know.
But that's a theory. People are like, well, but it could be because this and that and the other, and then there's that star that had that thing rotating around it, and all that.
That they thought was an alien megastructure.
Which was not. But they thought, but that is where those sort of ideas come from for sure.
Wait a minute, it wasn't, David?
It isn't likely, but could be. Is that what you want me to go with?
Sure. Yeah, and have you ever seen the movie The 13th Floor?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay, so The 13th Floor is basically about the world being a simulated reality, and the people who created it moving in and out of it and changing shit, and the people that are in it realizing that it's a simulated reality.
And that would be kind of weird.
Right. And like I said, how would we know? How would we figure it out? If it's flawless, if it's perfect and it just works, how would we fucking know? And I don't know the answer to that question. I think it's very interesting that science is trying to, or there are scientists out there who are trying to measure it.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how you would do that.
I can't remember exactly what they're doing. It's a really strange process what they're measuring to try and prove it. It's fucking. It's like mine. It's one of those things where you fucking read it and you go, "Huh? What? Huh?" Because of that and this, and I'm fucking lost, but I kind of get it. And they think that when quantum computers become a regular thing. They think that's going to be the big game changer with all of this, whether it be artificial intelligence or, simulations, because of what they can do.
Yeah. Well, that's the interesting thing, though, is if we're living in a simulation, and our goal is just invariably to create an imaginative, conscious artificial intelligence to become us, it's like, who made who again?
Those damn philosophers.
I know.
AC/DC,
the great philosophers.
Bastards.
Well, yeah. So the whole thing is fascinating. It's really easy to punch holes in all the arguments, but it's fun to engage in the ideas, and then you have something to come out of it, even if the answer is no.
Right.
But it's good to kind of go down those rabbit holes, if you will, and think those thoughts. But it's healthy and it makes your brain better.
Yeah, I love it's like I used to love conspiracy theories. I used to love to delve into them and read up stuff and watch videos on YouTube, but every conspiracy, for the most part, there are conspiracy theories of stuff that were true, that they nailed it. Things did happen, but they fall apart. Within you start out and you're like, yeah, and then you're like, oh shit,
man.
And my favorite one, as far as a Fortean topic, was John Teeter. I'll never forget it. I came home.
Yeah.
No, I was at home, and my roommate at the time got up to go to work. He was working third shift, and he handed me a CD as he was walking out. And he's like, check this out. I'm like, what is it? He's like, it's a radio show, coast to coast. And here's a guy on there talking about a time traveler from the year 2036. You got to hear it. So I sat down, listened to it, and that's when I went down the fucking rabbit hole. I sat for I think I was unemployed at the time, and I was collecting unemployment. I spent fucking 2 or 3 days reading all of the posts on the website that this guy posted in message boards, or the supposed guy, John Teeter. And I went all the fuck in, and of course, then it all just fucking falls apart. Obviously, for the most part, nothing he said was going to happen happened. Literally everything. None of it really happened. And other stuff that kind of unraveled right after I went into it. And I think it's fun. These things are fun for us.
Yeah, and it's totally okay to be interested and follow on these things, but man, it's like with anything, especially I always relate to the Bigfooting things. Anytime you're critical of those things, it's just like, oh man, they come after you, right?
Oh God, holy shit, do they?
Yeah. So it's fun to do those things, and then people take it too far, and all of a sudden it starts to move the narrative of their life. And that's when it goes too far, and that's when it's not okay anymore.
Right. And with us talking about tapping out of the shit, I struggle with it because I still love the subjects. But based on what happened, and how I experienced those communities, I just was like, fuck that. I can enjoy the stories and enjoy the stuff that's going on and not be a part of it anymore.
It's totally possible. And
Is it, David? David?
I may have gone a little bit too far and just just jumped all the way the fuck out. But no, it's fun to think about all these things and to do them, but again, it's just when it changes the way that you're living your life and the choices you make and what you're doing. That's and people can really believe in chemtrails, and they really are starting to sell their house to pay for stuff to do it. And I think that's when it's not okay with me.
Well, I think it's when we start making drastic changes that affect what's the word? People who can't, like kids.
Yeah.
Who can't make decisions for themselves.
Yeah, or don't have a means of making their own choices and things like that.
It just gets crazy. And I think, you and I have kind of had the same feeling about it. But I kind of kept a fucking toe in the water with this show. Like I've said for a long time now, I'm fucking riding this bitch right to zero viewers. I'm riding it like right down. It's like a calculus equation. Find the fucking limit as this thing reaches fucking zero, because it's happening.
It'll get there.
Yeah, because I hold no illusions. It's a fucking fun thing that I do.
Yeah,
I enjoy doing. Like, I get to talk to people like you. And granted, you and I could just sit and hang out and talk, and that's all fine and good. But something happens when you say, "Hey, let's get together and do a fucking show."
Yeah, you get your topic and you keep talking about it, and you start thinking about more things than that, and you don't talk about boobs as much, and
Yeah, exactly. exactly, David.
Exactly, boobs.
Yeah, those things. So, I mean, and again, this is a one night only thing, and I don't want anybody to think that I'm going to start having David on regularly on the show to do this. It was just one of those things where I missed fucking talking to you about this shit, man. Like, I really did. And for the record, like, out of all the people that I met, you and Phil by far just stand out, like, as the just the coolest people that I met while I was traversing that whole fucking bullshit that went on back in the day. And I think we had a great time, and it sucks that you lose friendships along the way in those things, as with anything. And that things have changed and people fall, apart, even though there may not be any problem.
Yeah.
People fall apart. Like we were talking about earlier, people get lives. They have to do shit.
Yeah, and sometimes that just, and there's always that sort of mutual, like, okay, this is more work to get together than not. And then if it's mutual, that just sort of.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Or you're like me and you just throw a bomb in the room and walk away.
Yeah, you just say, fuck it. I'm like, where's David? Fuck you go.
Dave's not here, man.
Dave was definitely fucking not here. Holy shit, he was not standing outside the door knocking saying, hey man, it's fucking me, Dave.
No, Dave wasn't there either.
Dave said, fuck this shit. And for the record, I totally agreed with your decision. Like, completely agreed with your decision. Fuck it, get the fuck out.
Yeah, because like, not fun anymore.
Like we said at the beginning of the show, if it's not fun, don't fucking do it. And I, for some reason, still have fun getting on this fucking goddamn thing and bullshitting every week with Steve. It's fucking spam eating motherfucker.
I remember the Spanish. Oh man,
he didn't come into the hangout we were in, did he?
No, he didn't.
Oh shit, you didn't get a chance to talk to him.
Good old Steve. I haven't talked to that guy in years.
Oh god, and just recently, and God love the man. I do love him to pieces. Matt had said to me one time, and it wasn't that long ago, I want to say it was probably earlier this year. He was like, dude, you got a gem in fucking Alcorn. And I'm like, yeah, I guess I kind of do. He's like, he fucking just still fucking does that show with you. I'm like, yeah, he does. Yeah.
Nobody believes it.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. So, I mean, but I'm grateful for those relationships. You know, like getting to meet the cool people. You know, Steve's always been a fucking decent guy. You know, I've never met him, but always been a decent guy to me. You know, like I said, you, Phil, awesome. And you know, when you had made your decision, and I was like, I'm fucking bummed out about it. But you know, hey, you gotta do what you need to do for you, man.
Yep, and it was at the time for sure.
Yeah, don't ever fucking forget that shit. You do what you need to do for you. That's all that fucking matters. Because you know, you never know. You literally never know.
I have no idea right now.
Yeah, I don't either. Like I said, we have the most uninformed. For two people that are really fucking uninformed, how you were named a pseudoscientist and I was called Doctor. The Doctor.
The Doctor. No, I remember now. It came back to me. It was accredited pseudoscientist.
Oh, Jesus. Accredited
pseudoscientist. Yeah.
Well, fucking Knapp got something when they cited him for in one of the articles they wrote on Bigfoot in the Washington Post. And I think he was called a Bigfoot expert or research. I was like, you motherfucker.
Washington Post.
Do you need a couple expert? Do you need a couple fucking letters in front of your name with a dot? You fucking asshole. But you know, stuff like that, good for him. And by the way, for the record, Matt started a new, for those of you listening, a new Cryptid Tales channel on YouTube. It's literally called Cryptid Tales. You should go check that out. I've posted, I think, all the videos he's made already. But he's trying to do the Bigfoot encounter stories route. So everybody should check that out.
Why did I didn't actually know when I was mentioning what you need to do is a collection of encounters and Bigfoot stories. So right on, Matt, we're on the same page.
Yeah, there you go. Have fun. But yeah, I mean, you know, what a good time we had when we got together. Yeah, I mean, being out there and, like I said, just bullshitting and having fun was an absolute blast.
No, yeah, and it's definitely like whether anything comes from it or whether we were just drinking in the woods, like it's good times. Those memories will, forever. And so that's, if people are like, I don't know, there's no reason to go out, like, and you have an opportunity, go out because you'll never forget it. It's always good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even when stuff turns to shit, you're able to find the good things that happened within it. You know, I mean, because stuff always turns to shit at some point. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, it's like those Cheetos, man. Eventually.
Yeah, those Cheetos. Fucking Cheetos, man. Especially the ones that like fly by your planet. They look like a big turd. And they change direction and everybody thinks it's a fucking goddamn UFO.
It's just a Cheeto.
It's just a Cheeto in space. Around. It's just
damn space Cheeto.
It's just been flying around for fucking centuries. They were making Cheetos back before the Egyptians.
That's how they built the pyramids. They were carved from large Cheetos.
Fucking Doritos. Just big fucking Doritos. That's what the pyramids are.
Stacked on their sides.
Fuck this. They had amazing engineering and technological capabilities. They fucking just made big Doritos and leaned them up against each other.
God damn it, Frito-Lay is the oldest company on the planet.
That's right. Fucking PepsiCo's gonna rule the world again.
Don't get me started on
like they did before fucking before Sumeria. Those were the days, by God.
Yes, hunters, gatherers.
Yes,
You have to go
building
in.
insanely large things that they couldn't have. That's one of the rabbit holes I love going down. For the record, is the ancient civilizations, and the one that gets me every time is fucking Göbekli Tepe. That fucking place it's a goddamn conundrum.
Yeah. Remind me where that is.
It's in Turkey, and a farmer found it in like 1994. And he realized that the stone that was peeking up out of the ground looked like it had been made, or carved, out. And he started unearthing it, and it's all these concentric circles that are just filled with stone pillars that are insanely huge.
Huh.
And they have like carvings on them of all kinds of animals that aren't indigenous to the area at all, or even close to the area.
Dude, you fucked up.
I fucked up?
No. The artists.
Oh, yeah, dude, how'd you fucking this ain't here. But they know for a fact that they buried it. They meticulously, after all this was built, at some point they buried it.
Maybe because they fucked up the animals.
That could be too. But it literally set back human civilization, like I think it was like 10,000 years or something like that. It was crazy.
Wow.
I don't know if that figure's accurate because, like I said, I'm not a fucking expert. But yeah, it just baffles the mind.
Totally.
And yet these archaeologists aren't willing to, admit that they're so stubborn about changing their views on shit.
Yeah.
But the more and more I think about it, dude, I seriously think that Graham Hancock's right. We're a species with amnesia. And our history got lost. At one point in time, there was another civilization before us that was highly advanced. And it fucking fell.
That's a totally plausible scenario in a lot of ways. There are civilizations that have fallen.
Oh God, yeah.
Over and over and over. So why couldn't there have been one or more that? I mean, it could be just wiped out by disease or something else. Like it could. There's a lot of reasonable reasons why that could have happened.
It could have been anything.
But when they have this is the oldest. The oldest known structure, yada, yada, yada. It's the oldest known structure that you found.
Right.
And, they'll have to argue about whether or not this other thing was earlier and then revamp it.
Right. And then they'll like the Yonaguni, I think that's how you pronounce it. The Yonaguni monument in Japan, it's in the ocean. They a lot of them still try to argue that it's not man-made, that it was made by nature. It's fucking obviously been made by man. It's just crazy people holding on to outmoded and outdated bullshit.
Yeah.
It bugs the shit out of me.
But the other side of that coin is that for every archaeologist that says, no, this can't be, it's not right, there's 5 more archaeologists that are like, okay, well, I need to check this out. Like, if we can prove this is amazing.
Well, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. If you get some time in the near future, sit down and listen to Robert Schoch on Joe Rogan. It was in the past year, I think, that he was on there. And he's a geologist. And he went to go look at the Sphinx because there is evidence of rain erosion on the Sphinx. And if that's the case, then that's way older than what everybody's been saying. Because there wasn't any rain in that area of that significance, or it hasn't been, for a very long fucking time. And he talks about how he's been ridiculed and attacked, and it's a great podcast. You should listen to it, though. It'll blow your fucking mind.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, it was a good one, and I think it's one that's right up your alley. Definitely right up your alley. But
yeah, rocks.
I'm gonna wrap this thing up, David.
Wrap it up.
Because
stay safe out there.
We've been going for over an hour now.
I know.
And for the record, everybody, I tried to get Matt Knapp for the show tonight, and as always, this is going to be a running bit at this point. I tried to get Matt Knapp, and he didn't show up. This has been, yeah, and it'll just be a running bit like Mick West, and it will be horrible, and I will want to beat myself for even suggesting it. Yeah. So this has been the Fortean slip down the rabbit hole. If you like this shit, hit the little thumbs up button. If you don't, hit the little thumbs down button. Leave a comment. Subscribe. Check out. You can't check out David anywhere. So fuck you. Check out.
I'm nowhere.
Do check out Matt Knapp at his new Cryptid Tales channel. And I think he still has the youtube.com/bigfootcrossroads. Check out Para Breakdown, Phil Poling, the now defunct, barely monetized channel. Check out Dred Funn at dredfunn.com and youtube.com/Dred Funn. And if you want, you can go check out this little fucking comic strip Richard does, Bigfooting with Keith and Colin on Facebook. And tomorrow, or today for me, actually, I'll be doing another show, the regular show. What are we going to do? We're going to fuck around. We're going to fuck off. And that's all you get. So until then, David?
Yes?
It was good talking to you, man.
It was indeed. It's fun to be on air and making bad choices together.
Yeah, it's always good.
Yeah.
All right. Guys, see ya!